We're ready.
All right. Thank you, Carrie. Welcome to the Virginia Association of Counties Premier Partner Spotlight Series. I'm Dean Lynch, Executive Director of the Virginia Association of Counties. And the purpose of being here with this fine group today is to really give an opportunity to highlight one of our partners who provide services and products to Virginia counties that can be very beneficial. The Virginia Association of Counties, VACO, we're proud to introduce cashvest by 3+one is our newest premier partner. Cashvest by 3+one is a financial technology organization that deploys liquidity analysis to help counties leverage new data resources and maximize the value of every dollar on deposit in counties. Cashvest by 3+one is not a bank. It's not a registered investment advisor nor a financial advisor. They're an independent third party that provides unbiased financial data analysis to counties. The VACO partnership with cashvest by 3+one is in conjunction with the National Association of Counties and is a COVID-19 resource. Cashvest by 3+one has brought over $300 million back to public entities that it serves nationwide. With me here today to talk about cashvest and our premier partner is Garrett Mcdonald, who is Vice President of 3+one, Joe Rulison, who is co-founder and CEO of 3+one, Kyle Klein, who is the National Director of Strategic Partnerships with the NACO Financial Services Corporation, Steve Aquario, my colleague in New York, who is the Executive Director of the New York Association of Counties, Bo Blevins, VACO VML Finance, and Carrie Walker, VACO's Coordinator of Programs and Development. Thank you all for being here and talking about cashvest 3+one, our premier partner. Let me invite now Steve Aquario, my colleague. Steve, it's good to see you. Good to have you here with us in Virginia. Don't know what the weather is in New York, but we've had a lot of rain here with the hurricanes and coming through on the East Coast. And it's good to see you. And tell us a little bit about your experience with cashvest 3+one. I know that I think it started in New York. You all have a real detailed experience, and it's been beneficial to your counties. Tell us a little bit more.
Dean, thanks for having me on. I appreciate what you do in Virginia. It's what I do in New York. We serve the county officials. These counties are under tremendous stress right now through the pandemic. But I had the good fortune of working with 3+one before the pandemic hit. You mentioned this is a pandemic resource. It sure is. But I had the good fortune of working with 3+one cashvest program before the pandemic. New York has about 1.5 years experience where the association has been working with 3+one. But before that, 3+one had been working in New York with school districts, with other local governments and towns and counties. But when we came to understood the real benefit from the National Association of Counties, when we partnered up with the National Association of Counties and Financial Services that they provided, that they vetted, and we married it with the needs of the New York counties, it was just remarkable. I went on the road. I went to these meetings firsthand with the officials in New York who are charged with protecting the public fisc. That's what this is about. Understanding money. Liquidity was a word that you used, Dean, that I really wasn't too familiar with. I am now, and that's because of 3+one. Liquidity is a very powerful term. Liquidity means assets, means that when and how can these assets be used at the right time, at the right price for the taxpayers? How can liquidity help taxpayers make more money, interest, protect the assets of the counties? I learned all this firsthand from 3+one in these meetings with county officials. So our success in New York has been because of the information that we learned in meetings and how to invest these assets. Where to invest them was a decision that remained with the county officials. 3+one's cashvest program, it does not tell banks where to put money. It does not tell county officials where to put money or how to invest money. It simply tells them more about their own assets, about their own money. That's very important. I've been in meetings where county treasurers or other county elected officials who are charged with investing these public funds looked at these officials from 3+1 and said, gosh, I never understood our cash flow the way that you have described it through the proprietary program, the software program that 3+1 cashvest uses. This is a banking model that we have now converted to banking model to understand liquidity for the taxpayers. It's been remarkable, Dean. I'm very grateful for this partnership, and the best is yet to come in New York State. Dean, thanks so much again for having me on.
Steve, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your testimonial, really, about cashvest 3+1. I do have a question. As far as your counties in New York, how many counties do you have that are actually using cashvest right now, or maybe that are in the process of working toward using cashvest 3+1?
Well, we started with a handful. It started with a handful that had been working with 3+1, and the list has grown 3 times.
Wow.
We might be around 15, if I'm not mistaken, in a growing list of counties. And this is another benefit being for the program is when the association gets involved with financial consultants such as 3+1's cashvest program. We really insist, Dean, as I'm sure that you do in Virginia, that these programs have to help our rural counties too. We don't want to be involved in programs that only benefit the larger counties. But the benefit of this program is it aligns with all counties. The smallest county in the state of New York is Hamilton County, New York. Population, are you ready, Dean? 5,000. This is a very small county. They signed up for 3+1's cashvest program, and they hit the ground running in that county. Another county, Suffolk County, population, are you ready, Dean? 1.4 million. That's the state's largest county, Suffolk County, New York, and the state's smallest county, Hamilton County, New York, both signed up with 3+1. The results, outstanding.
Steve, it sounds like that counties, whether they're rural, suburban, or urban, really are benefiting from this program. And hats off to you for helping guide us to this program. So,
well, it's my pleasure, Dean. Thank you for having me, and really thank you to 3+1's cashvest program and the excellent team that they have assembled that have served New York, and I'm sure will serve Virginia just as well.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you being on. Let me go to Bo. Bo, Vaco VML Finance. Bo, when we first started looking at cashvest 3+1, I quickly made a call to you to ask you to take a look at this program, make sure that we're on the right track. You have been charged with a lot of the investments that are made in Virginia for Virginia counties, with the VACO, with the VIP program, VACO, or the Virginia Investment Program, and many of the others. And kind of asking you to vet the program, make sure that that everything is on the up and up as far as the investment side. And I know that cashvest 3+1 does not make investment decisions nor tell people where to invest. But from your standpoint, working with treasurers in Virginia, who are actually the investors of the holders of these dollars and make the investments for counties, how do you see cashvest 3+1 as benefiting Virginia counties right now?
Well, Dean, thank you, first of all, for having me on here. It's good to see you and Steve and a lot of my other friends, Joe and Kyle. And also, hats off to you and Steve for bringing cutting-edge programs on a consistent basis, cutting-edge services to your localities. I mean, you guys are at the forefront in your peer group. So I want to highlight that. But when Dean brought cashvest to us, and again, we run the Virginia Investment Pool, which is a service of VACO. It manages nearly $3 billion in local government assets. We have one portfolio, which is a daily liquidity fund, which is sort of the term of the day. And the second thing is that we have a portfolio which we call a high quality bond fund. And that bond fund is actually for monies that localities invest for about a year or longer. And so when we were looking at cashvest, I think one of the things that we saw was a lot of synergy with our investment pool. One of the questions I asked Joe and his team when we eventually got to talk to him is, do you all include LGIPs or VIPs in your data? And he says, absolutely, that's stuff that we come across. What I do in my day-to-day is I interface with treasurers. So we have 95 counties here in Virginia. All but 2 have elected treasurers who, Dean, as you pointed out, are the custodians of the money. But a lot of times they don't know how much money they should keep liquid and how much money they should put, invest out further. And, we're on the road, we're trying to do those analysis, but we really don't have the team and the research arm to really do the cash flow analysis or the data analysis to give them sort of this unbiased, objective information. And I think I see a lot of synergy with what cashvest is doing, because when they get that data from a cashvest type tool, they can look and say, oh, well, maybe I'm keeping too much liquid on hand. Maybe we can invest this out longer term. And I think that has synergy with the VIP 1 to 3 year bond fund that we have. But also it'll help them look at market rates, which are all over the place right now. We have a lot of up and down, especially low interest rates when it comes to liquidity. So when we first saw this, we saw it as a valuable tool. Another thing that Steve touched on, we work with about 150 participants in our investment pool, and those are rural and urban. And that's one of the things that we really tout about the VACO investment pool, is that it serves all localities. And I think that's something that cashvest fits right into. Crossing the board. We have, Steve, you mentioned a 5,000 population in one of your counties. Dean, I think we have Highland County, which may have more bears than people in terms of population. I think it's maybe 1,500 or 2,000. So that's just an interesting tool. We are the direct line to treasurers. And so what I would say to Dean, your membership, which are supervisors, and you interact with your county executives as well, is this is something you'll want to get buy-in from your treasurers, who are the custodians of your funds. But I think if you can use the information that you're getting from VACO, perspectives from Steve, from Joe, Garrett, Kyle, and their team, I think this really could be a great tool for localities. And let me say this last, Dean. Even though this is a service of VACO, service of NISAC and other associations, I really hope your members will see this as their program, something that they feel ownership in and will utilize and see how it blends in with a lot of the other services that you're offering.
But thank you for your comments. One of the questions I guess that I have is marketing this program. While I can market the program to county elected officials, the treasurers, an independent body, an independent association. And I know that VACO VML Finance works with Treasurers Association all the time. And are you going to can you help us, assist us in the marketing of this, so that treasurers are not hearing about this program for the first time from their elected official at a Board of Supervisor meeting? Can you work back channels and try to educate some of the treasurers that you're involved with what this program is?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think awareness and education is paramount when you're talking about something like this. And so, again, we're interfacing with treasurers all over the state. I'm actually speaking to the Southwest Virginia Treasurers Association next week, and you all have passed. I think Garrett has passed on some information for me to share. So, absolutely.
Good. All right. Well, thank you for being on, Bo.
Thank you.
I know you've got a 10 o'clock meeting you got to get to, so thanks for being here. I understand if you have to jump off.
Absolutely. I'll hang for a few more minutes, but no, great to see everybody, and thanks for the opportunity.
I feel like Steve, thank you. I feel like I'm doing a little teaser here, trying to get to Joe and cashvest 3+1, but let me go quickly to Kyle. Kyle, I don't know that you and I hadn't chatted beforehand, but the relationship that cashvest 3+1 has with NACO FSC is very important, and it's very important for us in Virginia. In that my board, once they heard that there was a relationship with NISAC, relationship with NACO FSC, that made this whole process a little more doable for our counties, and made everybody very supportive, because we are supportive of NACO. Can you tell me a little bit about your all's involvement with this program?
Yeah, well, thank you, Dean, first of all, for having me on, and welcome to the other panelists. It's great to be with you all. Dean, as you mentioned, we're thrilled with this partnership, and from early on, from the early days when we first met Joe and his team, and got to know the 3+1 service and the cashvest liquidity services, really trying to understand and get in there and understand what exactly that they are doing and what they can accomplish and how they can support counties. We knew from the very beginning that this service and this company was unique, something that truly was not offered in the marketplace, something that offered significant upside and value for our members. And really the results from the counties, from the municipalities and the school districts that they had already been working with, that really was the evidence for us. And every time we talk about this program, it's so easy. It almost markets itself, because we can just look at those case studies, look at those real world results of additional revenue and earnings and savings, maximization of every single taxpayer dollar by leveraging this new data that did not previously exist in the marketplace. It truly is a great partnership. Of course, we go through at NACO with all of our partnerships. It goes through a rigorous due diligence process, and 3+1 cashvest really passed that with flying colors. Steve and also Bo had mentioned the ability of this program to serve counties of all sizes. That was something that really stood out to us because in terms of that due diligence, one of the boxes that any kind of service or partner has to check is the ability to serve all counties, all 3,069 counties across the country, various shapes and sizes and makeups. And that was something that was very apparent to us. So we couldn't be more thrilled with this, with the results, with the partnership, the great work that Joe and his team do every day on behalf of counties across the country. And we're really excited to move into Virginia and partner with VACO on this great program and support your members as well.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for bringing this to Virginia, and look forward to working with you and Joe and the group going forward. Let me, now that we've teased this whole thing up for the listeners, Joe, tell us a little bit more about cashvest 3+1. And
Absolutely.
if you don't mind, as you're talking, I may be asking you a couple of questions, because I am concerned. I want to know exactly what is data-driven analysis. What is an objective third-party data provider? Things like that, liquidity analysis. The questions that I feel that we need to drive down and explain to our counties, to our listeners on this.
Absolutely, Dean, and thank you so much. And Steve, having you on, and Kyle and Bo, really appreciate having the opportunity to present cashvest by 3+1 to VACO members. What I think really provides a unique perspective is that I personally am a public official. I'm a treasurer of a water authority, have been a former government banker, and I have to tell you that when you look as a public official at cash and how the cash is then viewed by the bank are two different worlds. One is a transaction that occurs as soon as it hits out of the books to pay or take something in. From the bank, it is a whole different world of how that transaction occurs. And liquidity management is the ability to look at not the ebbs and flows of the day-to-day cash, but each financial transaction as it will affect the county. And what I find with it is that the ability to know that the public entity has that information, has the power of the data, of looking at every single financial transaction. And when you do that, you're able to see different patterns that give you the ability of saying to your bank, look at this is our cash, this is the amount of cash we have, and at the same point, how can the bank use that on their balance sheet to better serve the public entity? So it's powerful on both sides, powerful from the public entity to have the data. It's also very powerful for the bank to have the data. You marry the two together and you have a very strong banking relationship that allows you to take and put that money to work, which finds its way to the state pool. So when you have the ability to do that, you're able to do more with the cash, you're able to make more, both in terms of increased revenue, but also the cost of what it is to do a transaction with the banks. I'll tell you, and as Steve knows, I was in a county last week when a new county exec that was appointed that's running for election came up to me, said, I can't thank you enough. We had our budget meeting and we had the 3+1 award that was given to us for the performance of the management of our cash. And I was able to keep taxes down because of the work that cashvest did. At the same point, this is a major part of my platform to be elected as county exec for the next 4 years. Having that is heartwarming. At the same time, to see that it received great press was just something that showed great government towards those you're serving, helping to help those that you're serving to make sure that every dollar you have is being put to work. And what the cashvest platform does, it allows a county that has a public entity has a number of bank relationships, and embedded in that are several bank accounts. And you tend to look at those singularly. You will reconcile them each month. But what cashvest is able to do is able to holistically look at all monies, look at every transaction, say, this is actually the power of the cash you have. And even though you hear out in the marketplace that rates are at 0%, that's not what the value of the cash is in the marketplace. Banks need the cash and they're doing very well with cash. So if they have that and they know what the length of time is in terms of the duration of whether the public entity needs it for a day or if it's available for a month or even 6 months or a year, that allows the bank to better work on their balance sheet of the rates they can pay to a public entity for the value of those deposits. That allows you to increase the revenue. And at the same point with it, Dean, that liquidity analysis allows you to be able to see, am I in fact putting every dollar to work? Not what I think I need, but what I actually need. And so many times, and how we got started was when I had worked with an airport authority and saw that they had $25 million always in the bank account at 0%, because they said I was going to have to pay the paver or pay construction company tomorrow, when in fact, they never even touched the money. So knowing that you have that and knowing that you've got time duration, that you can look at time horizon and know what money can be put to work for how long is so valuable. And at the same time, having that liquidity analysis is so powerful, whether you're going out for debt and the rating agencies are looking at you, or if you're talking to your banks and saying, these are the kind of services I need, and I know what the cost of those services are, so I need to have you be competitive. And at the same point, know I'm preserving against any type of fraud. And
Hey,
taking
Joe.
all that and having the peace of mind, I think, is very helpful.
Joe, let me ask. Let me jump to Steve and ask Steve a question about New York. Steve, can you tell me a little bit about the banks and their reaction to this program that you've seen in New York?
Dean, thank you. That's a good question. As an association, BACO and NISAC, the New York Association, we don't tell our counties who to use as banks. That's a very a relationship that's a private relationship between the county government and their banks. And so when we got into this, we made it clear with 3+1 cashvest that we didn't want to disrupt the banking relationships that they had. And I was thinking in your question, Dean, that it really turned out to be a real win-win here, because the counties, oftentimes when a new treasurer comes in, they've gotten a lot of accounts, a lot of bank accounts. We had counties in New York with hundreds and hundreds of banking individual accounts. We cleaned all that up through 3+1. We straightened it up. It was a big win for both the bank and for the county. And the last point I'll add, Dean, to your question is this helps a bank too, because through this liquidity analysis, through cashvest program, they can, with predictability, inform the bank of the length of time that the county money can sit with the bank, as opposed to an annual or a month by month arrangement that they might presently have. The cashvest program, with a great high degree of certainty by the county, can go to the bank and say, yes, you could keep this asset for a year or two or multi-year period. So it was a real win-win between the bank and the county.
Thanks, Steve. Hey, Joe, a little bit, one more question that I have
Sure.
is in Virginia, all of our counties are used to auditors coming in, auditing, doing their thing. Is this similar to having an audit? I mean, does cashvest 3+1 come in person and do this analysis, or is this a virtual platform that counties can use to working with 3+1?
Great point with it, and great question, Dean. With 3+1, we've really worked hard to know that this can be done remotely or can be tailored any way that a entity would like to have. We know that there's a lot of stress on financial offices today, and so we've really developed the platform so that we can have a direct feed directly from the banks in terms of just information only, view only, that allows us to capture the information and then be able to do an interview with the entity, whether by phone or in person. We really are so sensitive, and we're sensitive with the relationships that are involved, and we're very sensitive in terms of the time that public officials need to put back to the public. So really the onus is on us, and the information that an entity will see will be the first time they've ever seen this kind of information. There hasn't been one entity that hasn't had an aha moment of saying, oh my gosh, I'm seeing something I have not seen before. And it's exciting because this isn't something that a treasurer or a public official could have done before, because the technology didn't exist. Technology we've created is cutting edge that now can apply, that can be able to put forward, that can be an avenue to earn more money or to also provide some cost savings. To have those two, and we have a guarantee put in that if we can't provide in the first year what our costs of our services are for what it is that should make a return, then the analysis we've done and the work we've done is free. At the same point, we have confidence of knowing that our public entities have seen 5, 6, 7 times the amount of benefit to what they have paid for our service. So we're a low cost, I think we're very conscious of public dollars to know we want it to go a long way, but with a huge benefit back to an entity that can reduce taxes, fill a budget gap, be able to pay for new computers or police cars or what have you, just things that can make a difference. And that's where Steve had mentioned, we've brought over $300 million back to public entities in the communities they serve. And I think that it's funny you mentioned that, Dean, because we had a treasurer that came in, newly elected treasurer, that was an auditor, and he was just full barrels ready to go, okay, now let me get into this. And when he looked at it, he goes, oh my God, I never knew how beneficial this was and what it does for me as being a new elected treasurer. You've made all the difference in the world. And on top of that, last year we made $800,000. This year, which was 2020, we'll make over $2 million more on the dollars I have to have fiduciary oversight with. So it just shows you the power of data, power of analysis, of liquidity analysis equals more revenue and savings back to counties.
That's why we've got you in Virginia, Joe. We hope to see those same kind of results.
Absolutely. And I have family in Virginia, so I'm really looking forward to getting down there, Dean, I have to tell you. So we're really excited about it.
Another thing I know that you all are working on is you supply peer benchmarking using liquidity data compiled across the country to ensure that counties are performing at the highest possible level. Tell me a little bit about this peer benchmarking. Would counties be benchmarked against other counties in Virginia, or would we be benchmarked against New York, or how does all that, explain a little bit how you do that?
Do a combination of that. We're very fortunate because we have the ability to take historical data and to be able to look forward, to think that we can have the crystal ball for a county to show this is where we think you're going to be with your liquidity in the next 3, 4, 5 months because of what we're seeing from entities that have historically we've worked with in different parts of the country, but also in the same region. So the power of that is we collect more and more data, the more ability we're able to provide a forward picture and benchmarking of what we're seeing that banks are providing in terms of rates on deposits to what we're seeing in terms of what is exactly tailored to what can be allowed within the state. So you have the safety, liquidity, and you also gain the highest possible yield. But we do work in tailor, and we will show what the benchmarking will consist of. And it can be designed so that the entity itself is feeling that I want to be just against my peers in Virginia, or let me know where I am nationally. The nice part is we have a cashvest score that will allow you to see how well are we doing with our liquidity. And that is anywhere from 0 to 100%. And as you do that, you're able to see, as I get closer towards 100%, what cashvest said I would achieve, I do achieve, but it tremendous benchmark. And then we provide the 90+ award to those counties that are able to show that they've had 4 consecutive quarters above 90% in terms of the cashvest score. But it is terrific, it's well tailored, but it's just amazing how everybody wants to know what their cashvest score is and how does this rate to others in Virginia and also in other parts of the country.
Well, Joe, we're really excited about getting this going in Virginia, and look forward to working with you, working with Garrett, and working with Kyle to really get a foothold with Virginia counties here. Last comments before we close. Anything else, Joe?
I just have to say, Dean, we really appreciate working with you. And Carrie, thank you for facilitating so much with us. And as Kyle knows, our partnership with NACO and also with NISAC with Steve Aquario, we're excited about working with all of you and also with Bo of bringing these services to the counties throughout Virginia. We really want to make a difference, and we want to know that we're a value add and we are a stress-free platform that really will bring a new source, an additional source of revenue and savings back to those that you're serving that are so important. And finally, the core value of 3+1 is to exceed expectations. We will bend over backwards in communication, in terms of relationship, and in terms of results of providing back to you higher than what is expected so that you can say, look what we've done and look at what this technology and what 3+1 has been able to help deliver to our entity and because of VACO. And so we're excited about being a strong partner. And at the same point, we will make a difference for your community, and we will make a difference for those that you're serving. So we really appreciate it. And thank you. And Kyle, for your help from the National Association of Counties, we can't thank you enough. A strong partnership, and they're seeing it across the country, that what we say we do, we deliver. And we have time and time again shown those kind of results.
Thank you, Joe. Kyle, last words. Anything from Nick?
Yeah, well, thank you, Dean, and Carrie, again, thank you for organizing. Joe, thank you so much for being on. I think Joe really said it well. I mean, it's really through this partnership that we want to deliver the highest value we possibly can and really serve the membership and the counties and the taxpayers in Virginia. We talk at NACO about stronger counties, stronger America, of course, stronger Virginia, and that mantra is something as we evaluate and look for opportunities to bring creative partnerships and roll that out across the states and across the U.S. That's something that we keep in mind every single day. And we couldn't be prouder of Joe and his team and what they've accomplished for the membership. And we feel like we're just getting started. So very excited, very much appreciate the opportunity, Dean, to partner with you, and looking forward to a bright future.
Joe, Garrett, both you all, really, we appreciate you being on, and we really look forward to working with you.
Thanks so much, Dean. And there are testimonials on our website, which is 3+1, all words, 3+1.us. So if there's additional information and the information that you will have on your site and that you want to look at our blogs, which we have over 300 historical blogs that we've created, it's all right there.
And I would think that the listeners from Virginia, from our Virginia counties, can go to our website and get this link, and everything will be from the VACO website. We'll have a direct link to what you're testing.
Well, that's wonderful, Dean. Thank you.
Carrie, last words. Thank you for setting this up. Anything, Carrie?
Thank you, Dean, and thank you, Joe and Kyle, Garrett, Steve, and Bo. This has been so informative, and we're really looking forward to working with you on behalf of Virginia counties. So it's a pleasure, and looking forward to more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We needed a company that could serve both rural entities of the state, but also urban ones. And so all 57 counties could be served. 3+1 was that vehicle to get that done. There's nobody like them, and it's a truly a unique program that no other company or service can provide.